Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down big topics into clear, actionable insights. All right, today we're tackling something huge, the C-suite. We're going to talk about how to get in the door, how to actually earn a seat at the table, and this is the most important part, how to build the kind of deep trust that turns a simple sale into a real, lasting partnership. You know, this image right here, it just nails the fundamental disconnect that sinks so many great pitches. You're standing there totally focused on your product, thinking, buy my thing. But the executive you're talking to, their head is in a completely different universe. They're juggling a supply chain crisis, a potential labor strike, and a new competitor that just popped up. Your product isn't their focus. Their company's survival is. So how do you even begin to bridge that huge gap we just saw? Well, it all starts with really getting inside the executive mindset, and that means totally rethinking your whole approach. Let's dig in. Yeah, a lot of us have this voice in our heads, right? It's that gut instinct we've been trained to follow. It's the one that tells us to just push a little harder, talk a little faster, and do whatever it takes to close the deal. But here's the thing. With the C-suite, that approach is a guaranteed way to fail. Just wrong. And why is that? Because they aren't buyers in the way we usually think of them. That's what their procurement teams are for. When you treat a CEO like a buyer, you're basically telling them you have no idea what they actually do. See, executives are playing a totally different game. Their time, their bandwidth, that's their most precious currency. And they only spend it on things that directly impact their big strategic goals. They don't speak the language of product features and specs. They speak the language of finance, of strategy, of bottom-line results. Your entire job is to translate what you do from your world into theirs. So, okay, if the hard sell is a dead end, what's the alternative? What actually works? The answer, in a word, is preparation. Real success in the C-suite starts way, way before you ever even think about sending that first email. It starts with a solid roadmap. And this is where this roadmap from Vantage Partners is just so powerful. The key insight here is that it completely changes your mindset. You're not just trying to land one meeting anymore. You're running a strategic campaign. You start by profiling the account, building a real strategy, and then, critically, mapping out the key influencers before you ever prepare for a single conversation. And that brings us to maybe the most important question you can ask. Who are the people you really need to influence here? You have to understand the internal power dynamics. Not every opinion is created equal, and your job is to figure out whose voice truly carries weight when it's time to make a decision. Okay, look at this grid. It's basically your playbook for where to spend your most valuable asset, your time. You can't be everything to everyone. This shows you exactly where your energy needs to go. That top right box, the high-power, high-interest players. Your mission is to find one person in that box and make building a relationship with them your absolute top priority. For everyone else, you've got a clear, low-effort plan to keep them in the loop without burning yourself out. All right, so you've done the prep work, you've mapped out the key players. Now for the big moment, getting in the door. It all comes down to crafting a message that can actually cut through all the noise. Your first message has to scream value from the get-go, and it's pretty much a formula, just like you see here. First, use that influence map to get a warm introduction, no more cold outreach. Then, immediately hit on one of their big strategic problems. Don't just list facts about their company. Offer one sharp, data-backed insight. Be super clear about what the meeting is for and frame it around a financial outcome, not your cool product features. Yes, you got the meeting. The door is officially open. But now the real work starts. This is your one shot to prove you're more than just another vendor. This is where you establish yourself as a credible, trusted partner. And here's something you have to remember. Your company's great reputation, it doesn't just magically transfer to you. You personally have to earn your own credibility in that room, in that moment with that executive. And this is where you see that shift in action, right here. So instead of reciting facts from their annual report, you connect those facts to a real insight. And don't ask that generic, lazy question, so what keeps you up at night? No. You lead with a hypothesis that shows you did your homework. I noticed your market share slipped 2% last quarter. My guess is that's tied to those supply chain delays in Asia. Is that what you're seeing too? That one change takes you from salesperson to strategic advisor. Okay, let's talk about the bottom line, because this is the one question that's always on an executive's mind, whether they say it out loud or not. If you can't connect what you do to a real financial outcome, the conversation is pretty much over before it starts. It's all about translating your features into their language, finance. Saying your platform improves communication is nice, but it's vague. Saying it reduces meeting time by 20%, which saves about $50,000 a year, now that's a hard number. That's an ROI they can take to the board. You have to speak the language of financial impact. And this is so important. Getting the deal signed isn't the finish line. It's really just the beginning. The ultimate prize isn't the one-time sale. It's becoming an indispensable long-term partner. And believe it or not, there's actually a science to building that kind of relationship. Get this. Research from the Harvard Business Review found that in companies with high levels of trust, employees report 74% less stress. Now, just think about what that means for your partnership. Trust isn't just some fuzzy, feel-good thing. It's an operational advantage. It means fewer check-in calls, faster decisions, and a real belief that you've got their back. And the science behind this is actually really cool. That feeling of trust, it's literally driven by a neurochemical called oxytocin. And here's the amazing part. You can actively help generate it. Every single time you have a positive interaction, maybe you send them an article you know they'll find interesting, or you celebrate a win for their team, you are biologically reinforcing that foundation of trust. But look, things are going to go wrong. It's just a fact of life in any long-term business relationship. Something will break, a deadline will be missed. How you handle those moments of failure, well, that's what truly defines the strength of your partnership. Now, what's fascinating is that research shows our first instinct, throwing money at the problem with a discount, is usually the wrong one. The key is to match your response to the type of failure. If it's a competence problem, like a technical glitch, they don't really need your money. They need a credible promise that it won't happen again, along with the plan to make sure of it. But if it's an integrity problem, if they feel like they were misled or disrespected, the only way to even start rebuilding is with a sincere, direct apology. No excuses. So at the end of the day, what you're really doing isn't just selling a product or a service. You are weaving your two organizations together. You are creating these deep bonds between people. You're tying your resources together, and you're linking your activities. And what you end up with is a relationship that is so much stronger and more resilient than any single transaction. So it all comes down to this one final question you have to ask yourself. The C-suite is drowning in salespeople all trying to close their next deal. What they are desperately looking for, what they truly value, is a strategic partner. Someone who gets their world, shares their goals, and can actually help them win. The only question left is, which one are you going to be?